Episode 23. The Price of Memory. The winter solstice had passed. The celebration had ended. The dignitaries had returned to their estates, the magisters to their towers, the common folk to their homes. Thornhaven settled back into its rhythm, a rhythm that now included the frozen form of a young mage standing eternal watch at the heart of the grand hall. Elena Brightwater stood in the pre-dawn darkness, studying the patterns that danced across Cassian's corruption-marked skin. 3 pulses. Pause. 2 pulses. The communication they'd established during the solstice had become more frequent in the days since, as if something about that longest night had strengthened the connection. She pressed her palm against the barrier of frozen time surrounding him, feeling the familiar cold that never quite numbed. "Good morning," she whispered. Day 78. The corruption patterns shifted. 5 pulses, their new signal. It meant more than acknowledgement. It meant, I'm still here, still fighting, still holding. "I know," Elena said softly. "I know you are." Footsteps echoed across the hall. Elena turned to find Liana Netherbane approaching, wrapped in a heavy wool cloak against the winter morning chill. The girl had visited 3 times since the solstice, each visit lasting longer than the last, each one chipping away at the careful distance she'd tried to maintain. "You're here early," Elena said. "I couldn't sleep." Liana stopped a few feet from Cassian's frozen form, her young face tight with emotion. At 16, she was caught between childhood and adulthood, between grief and acceptance, between anger and understanding. "I keep having the same dream. Cassian's trying to tell me something, but I can't hear him." Elena's heart clenched. She glanced at the corruption patterns, still pulsing their steady 5-beat rhythm. "What do you think he's trying to say?" "I don't know." Liana's voice cracked. "That's what makes it so frustrating. In the dream, I can see his lips moving, but there's no sound. Just silence." Elena made a decision. She'd been debating this for weeks, weighing the risks against the potential comfort. "Liana, there's something I need to show you." The girl's eyes widened. "What?" "Come here. Stand where I'm standing." Elena guided Liana to the exact position she'd been occupying, directly in front of Cassian with her hand against the temporal barrier. "Now watch his corruption patterns, the dark veins across his skin." Liana stared, confused. "I don't—" "Wait," Elena said quietly. "Just watch." The corruption patterns pulsed. 5 beats, a pause. Then, slowly, deliberately, 7 beats. A longer pause. 5 beats again. Liana gasped. They're moving, changing. "He's communicating," Elena said. "It took me weeks to realize it, but the patterns aren't random, they're deliberate. 5 pulses means he's aware and holding. 7 pulses, that's new. I think he knows you're here." Liana's hand flew to her mouth. Tears streamed down her face. "Cassian, can you really hear me?" The patterns blazed. 7 pulses, faster now, urgent, then 5, then 7 again. "He hears you," Elena confirmed, her own throat tight. "He's been hearing everything, all of it." Liana pressed both hands against the barrier, heedless of the cold. "Cassian, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I was angry. I understand now. I understand what you did, why you did it." Her voice broke. "I miss you so much, every day, but I'm proud of you. So proud." The corruption patterns went wild, pulses overlapping, cascading across his skin in waves. Elena had never seen them respond so strongly. Through the temporal barrier, Cassian's frozen expression remained unchanged, but something in those patterns spoke of desperate emotion held in check only by the prison of stopped time. "I need to teach you the patterns," Elena said. "All of them, so you can talk to him too." Liana nodded, wiping her eyes. "Yes, please." They spent the next hour going through Elena's carefully documented communication system. 5 pulses, awareness, holding steady. 3 pulses, pause. 2 pulses, I hear you, I remember. 7 pulses, recognition of a specific person. 4 pulses, warning or distress. 6 pulses, the void weaver stirring. 8 pulses, pain or strain on the ceiling. "It's not perfect," Elena admitted. "Sometimes the meanings overlap or shift depending on context. But it's something. It's more than silence." "It's everything," Liana said fiercely. "It means he's not gone. Not really." Elena hesitated, then said carefully, "Liana, you need to understand something. The 74, Cassian and the founding mages, they're losing their memories. Slowly. Details are fading. In 3 centuries, they might not remember who they were at all." 3 centuries. Liana's voice was hollow. "He'll be here for 3 centuries. unless we find a way to reach them, to help them. Elena pulled out her notebook, now filled with months of observations, theories, and desperate research. I'm not giving up on that. I've been studying everything I can find about the original sealing, about consciousness preservation, about Keeper Brightwater. The voice came from the entrance. Archmage Verena Nightshade approached, moving more slowly than usual, still recovering from the injuries sustained during the sealing. I need to speak with you, privately. Elena glanced at Leanna, who nodded. I'll stay with him, the girl said. Practice the patterns. Elena followed Verena to a quiet corner of the hall, away from the reconstruction workers beginning their morning shift. The Archmage's expression was grave. What's wrong? Elena asked. Verena handed her a sealed letter. This arrived by royal messenger an hour ago, from the Eastern Reach. Their wards are failing. Elena's blood ran cold. Failing? But the Voidweaver is sealed. The wards should be stable. The kingdom's wards are stable, Verena interrupted. But the Eastern Reach isn't part of Ardenvale. They have their own ward system, their own magical infrastructure, and apparently their own problems. Elena broke the seal and scanned the letter. Her hands began to shake. They're asking for help. They want to know how we defeated the Voidweaver. They want to know about the forbidden magic Cassian used. Yes. Verena's voice was carefully neutral. The story has spread. Other kingdoms are facing their own existential threats, and now they know there's an alternative to the traditional prohibitions. This is what you feared, Elena said slowly. What King Aldrich feared, that allowing forbidden magic once would open the door. Would prove it's possible to use such power and survive, Verena finished. Would show that sometimes the old rules aren't enough. Would force every kingdom, every mage, every ruler to ask themselves, if the crisis is dire enough, is any price too high? Elena looked back at Cassian's frozen form, at Liana standing vigil beside him, practicing the pulse patterns. What does the king want to do? That's why I'm here. Verena's expression was troubled. There's a council session this afternoon. The Eastern Reach has sent an ambassador. They want permission to study what happened here, to interview survivors, to examine. No. The word came out flat, final. Absolutely not. Elena, he's not a specimen to be studied. He's not a technique to be replicated. He's a person who sacrificed everything, and I won't let him be turned into a blueprint for other desperate mages to follow. Elena's voice rose. Do you know what it cost him? What it's still costing him? Every moment he stands there, he's losing pieces of himself, his memories, his identity, everything that made him Cassian. And you want to tell other kingdoms, yes, this is how you do it. Just burn away your soul and stand watch for 3 centuries? Verena was quiet for a long moment. I agree with you, she said finally. But the king may not. He's conflicted, guilty about what happened, wondering if sharing the knowledge might prevent other kingdoms from making the same mistakes he did. Sharing the knowledge won't prevent anything, Elena said bitterly. It'll just create more Cassians, more frozen mages standing watch, more keepers maintaining impossible vigils, more families torn apart. Then you need to convince the council of that. Verena met her eyes. This afternoon, they'll want your testimony as keeper, as the person who spent every day since the sealing at his side. They'll ask you, should we help the Eastern Reach? Should we share what we learned? And what will you say? Elena asked. Verena's smile was sad. I'll say that some knowledge is too dangerous to spread, that some prices are too high to ask, that what happened here was an act of desperate necessity, not a precedent to be followed. She paused. But I'm not the one they'll listen to. You are, the keeper, the one who sees the cost every single day. Elena returned to Cassian's side after Verena left. Liana was still there, hands pressed against the barrier, whispering something too quiet to hear. The corruption patterns pulsed steadily. 7 beats, 5 beats, 7 beats. Brother and sister, separated by frozen time, but connected by something stronger than magic. Liana, Elena said gently, I have to attend a council session this afternoon. About your brother. About what he did. The girl turned, her face streaked with tears, but her eyes fierce. What about him? Other kingdoms want to know how he stopped the Voidweaver. They want to learn from what happened here, so they can make their own mages do what Cassian did. Liana's voice was sharp with sudden understanding, so they can create more More of this? That's what I'm afraid of. Leanna looked back at her brother. Don't let them, please. What Cassian did, it was necessary. It saved us all, but it shouldn't have to happen again. Ever. I'll do everything I can, Elena promised. But even as she said it, she wondered, what if the Eastern Reach faced the same choice Ardenvale had? What if their only options were forbidden magic or extinction? Did she have the right to withhold knowledge that might save thousands of lives? Did she have the right to condemn other mages to Cassian's fate? The corruption patterns pulsed. 8 beats, pain or strain. Elena's hand flew to the barrier. Cassian? What's wrong? 4 beats. Warning. What is it? What are you sensing? 6 beats. The Void Weaver. Elena's breath caught. It's stirring? 5 beats. Awareness. Holding. Then 8 again. Pain. Something was wrong. The ceiling was supposed to be stable. The Void Weaver was supposed to be contained. But Cassian was warning her, and his warnings had never been wrong. Elena pulled out her monitoring equipment, the same devices she'd used during his practice sessions, modified now to measure the stability of the ceiling itself. The readings made her stomach drop. The temporal stasis was holding. The merged consciousness of the 74 was intact, but there were fluctuations in the deeper structure. Tiny variations in the magical resonance, barely detectable, but present. And they were increasing. Liana, Elena said urgently, I need you to find High Inquisitor Mordain. Tell him the ceiling is showing instabilities. Tell him we need senior researcher Amara here immediately. The girl ran. Elena stayed, monitoring the readings, watching the numbers climb. The fluctuations were still small, less than 1% variation. But they were there, and they were growing. Mordain arrived within minutes, Amara close behind. The senior researcher took one look at Elena's equipment and went pale. How long has this been happening? Amara demanded. I don't know. I only just noticed. Elena showed her the readings. But Cassian warned me he felt it before the instruments detected it. Mordain studied Cassian's frozen form. Can the 74 sense the Void Weaver through the ceiling? They are the ceiling, Amara said quietly. Their consciousness forms the prison. If the Void Weaver is stirring, they would feel it before anyone else. Why would it be stirring? Elena asked. We sealed it 3 months ago. It shouldn't be able to move for 3 centuries. Unless something is disturbing it. Amara's eyes widened. The Eastern Reach, their ward system is connected to the continental ley lines. If their wards are failing catastrophically, the magical disruption could resonate through the ley line network, Mordain finished, reaching even here, even to the Void Weaver's prison. Elena felt sick. So if the Eastern Reach collapses, if their wards fail completely, it could destabilize our ceiling, Amara confirmed. Not immediately, not catastrophically, but over time, if the disruptions continue, if other kingdoms' wards begin failing. She didn't need to finish. Elena understood. The ceiling was supposed to last 3 centuries, but that assumed stable conditions, assumed the magical infrastructure of the continent remained intact. If kingdoms began falling one by one, if the ley line network was subjected to cascading failures, 3 centuries could become 3 decades, or 3 years. The council chamber was packed that afternoon. Every magister in Thornhaven seemed to be present, along with the Eastern Reach ambassador, a tall woman named Celeste Wintermere with ice-white hair and eyes that had seen too much. Elena stood before them, acutely aware that she was 22 years old, a common-born mage with no political experience, facing down some of the most powerful people in the kingdom. But she was also the keeper, the one who stood vigil, the one who knew the cost. King Aldrich called the session to order. Keeper Brightwater, you've reviewed the Eastern Reach's request? I have, Your Majesty. And what is your counsel? Elena took a breath. I counsel that we must help them, but not by sharing the forbidden magic that Cassian Netherbane used. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Ambassador Wintermere leaned forward. Then how, Keeper? Our wards are failing. Our people are dying. If your kingdom found a solution. Our kingdom paid a price you cannot imagine, Elena cut her off. Her voice rang through the chamber. Cassian Netherbane stands frozen at the Grand Hall convergence point. His consciousness is merged with 73 other souls. He will stand there for 300 years, slowly losing his memories, his identity, everything that made him who he was. That is the price of the magic he used. That is what your mages would face. Wintermere's expression didn't change. If it's the only way to save our kingdom, it's not. Elena pulled out her documentation. I've spent 3 months studying what happened. The forbidden magic Cassian used was a last resort. It worked because we had no other options left. But you do. You still have time. Your wards haven't failed completely. We can help you reinforce them through conventional means, help you identify the weaknesses in your system, help you. We've tried conventional means, Wintermere said flatly. They're not enough. Then try harder. Elena's voice was fierce. Bring in more magisters. Study your ley lines. Find the source of the drain. Do everything, before you even consider asking your mages to sacrifice themselves the way Cassian did. And if we do all that and it's still not enough? Wintermere challenged. What then? Elena met her eyes. Then you'll face the same choice we did, but you'll make it having exhausted every other option. You'll make it knowing the true cost. And you'll make it yourselves, without our help, because that burden is not something we should spread. The chamber erupted. Magisters arguing, shouting, debating. King Aldrich called for order, but the chaos continued. Then High Inquisitor Mordain stood. The chamber fell silent. The Keeper is correct, he said quietly. But there's something else you all need to know. The ceiling is showing instabilities. Shock rippled through the room. Mordain continued, his voice steady. Small fluctuations, nothing critical yet, but senior researcher Amara believes they're caused by disruptions in the continental ley line network. If the Eastern Reach's wards fail completely, the magical disruption could resonate through the entire system. It could destabilize our ceiling. Wintermere went white. You're saying, if we fall, you might fall too? Eventually, yes. Mordain's expression was grim, which means we have a vested interest in helping you succeed through conventional means. Not because we're charitable, but because your survival is linked to ours. King Aldrich stood. Then we will help, not by sharing forbidden knowledge, but by sending magisters, resources, expertise. We will do everything in our power to help the Eastern Reach stabilize their wards through traditional methods. He paused. But Keeper Brightwater is right. The price of forbidden magic is too high to ask any mage to pay unless there is absolutely no other choice. The vote was called. The motion passed. Ardenvale would help the Eastern Reach, but would not share the specifics of Cassian's sacrifice. Elena returned to the Grand Hall as evening fell. Liana was still there, sitting on the floor near Cassian's frozen form, reading aloud from a book of poetry their mother used to love. The corruption patterns pulsed. 7 beats, recognition. 5 beats, holding steady. Elena settled into her own position, pulling out her notebook. I did it, she said quietly. I kept them from turning you into a template, from making other mages follow your path. 3 pulses, pause, 2 pulses. I hear you, I remember. But the ceiling is unstable, just a little, just enough to worry about. Elena's voice dropped. I don't know if we have 3 centuries, Cassian. I don't know if any of us do. 8 pulses, pain or strain. I know, Elena whispered. I know you feel it, the Void Weaver stirring, the pressure building, but you're holding, you're all holding. 5 pulses, awareness, holding steady. Liana looked up from her book. Will he be all right? Elena wanted to lie, wanted to offer comfort. But Liana deserved the truth. I don't know, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure he is, to make sure they all are. The girl nodded and went back to reading. Her voice filled the hall, soft and steady, reading words about spring and renewal and hope. Elena watched the corruption patterns pulse in time with Liana's words. 7 beats, 5 beats, 3 pulses, pause, 2 pulses. I hear you, I remember. But for how long? How long before the memories faded completely? How long before the 74 forgot their names, their faces, their reasons for standing watch? How long before the ceiling failed and the Void Weaver broke free again? Elena pulled out her notebook and began to write. New theories, new research directions, new desperate plans for reaching the merged consciousness, for strengthening the ceiling, for buying more time. Because time was all they had. Time and vigilance, and the hope that somehow, against all odds, they would find a way to save the souls trapped in frozen time. The corruption patterns pulsed, and Elena recorded every beat, every variation, every sign that somewhere in that prison of stopped time, Cassian Netherbane was still fighting, still holding, still refusing to let the darkness win.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.